now. Let me introduce Mike. He is Senior Director of Materials at the International Living Future Institute, or ILFI, as we often call it. With decades of experience in sustainability, he's a net positive visionary who has held leadership roles, including CEO and Chief Sustainability Officer. Mike is a founding member of the Living Product 50, working to bring verified net positive products to market. His approach balances environmental, social, and economic needs. An outdoor enthusiast, Mike's connection to nature informs his sustainability work. And so what you're going to share with us today is what's going on at ILFI with regards to material health aspects in particular. And we're looking forward to hearing all about it, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Monica. I was hoping to catch your whole presentation, but I caught the end, and everything I heard at the end was right on point, exactly what I was expecting to hear. Congratulations on launching that new program. I think that's really great. Okay, let's see if I can get this sharing thing to work here for me. And let's see, application windows. That's probably not what I want, but I'm gonna give that a go. Okay. Okay, can you just give me a verbal that you're able to see my slides?
It's
Great.
started. There
What's
you
that?
go.
Sorry. Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to participate in these conversations. And I just wanted to speak a little bit about what we're doing, but also I want to talk a little bit about the importance beyond health implications from material transparency. And so we're going to go through some slides here and see if my computer's going to cooperate. Sorry, it's being a little bit slow today. Yeah, it does not want to cooperate, but we're going to see if we can get through this. My apologies. So while my computer's catching up, there are a lot of implications for transparency. It's not just the ability to make a choice based upon what you want to put into your body or into your home or into your building, but the implications extend well beyond the users and the people making it, all the way through the supply chain and the value chain. And that's what we're going to be talking about today as we move through. But again, my apologies, my computer seems to be completely frozen here. Wendy, are you still able to hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can get out of this screen, and I'm going to stop share and relaunch because, again, I am completely frozen on my slides, which is never fun.
The infamous technical difficulties.
Yeah,
I
this
think
is
that
why
are interesting.
I always prefer live presentations for this very reason.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if this is going to let me move on now.
Tightrope walk.
It is not letting me advance my slides. Let me see if there's something else that I can do. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk to you and hope that it goes as well as it can, but even though it's going to be sort of a boring visual that way, if that's what ends up happening. Let's see. Okay, well, I'm just going to go on. And I'm sorry, you're just going to have to look at me and this health and beyond picture, but we're going to get through the content anyways. So, quick introduction about ILFI. If you're not familiar, it's the International Living Future Institute. And really, we're here to ask the basic question: what does good look like in the built environment? And how do we get there? How do we accelerate this transition towards regenerative buildings, regenerative products, and the future that we all want to live within? And for a quick level setting, I think it's important to say that even though you can't see the slides, hopefully this will advance at some point. But really what I'd like to do is kind of present an overview. I know a lot of you watching probably know a lot of this information inside and out, but some of it has to be prepared for those of you that have perhaps never considered this information. So if this is not new to you, I apologize. Hopefully some of it will be. And if it is brand new to you, I hope to explain it in a way that makes a lot of sense and that you can carry back to your practice. So first and foremost, let's talk about transparency. Transparency is exactly what it means. We want to report out all of the material ingredients that are going into any building product for the consumer to be able to make better decisions. And better decisions is going to be on the individual level. ILFI offers guidance through the Living Building Challenge Red List. We talk about what are the worst of worst class chemicals that are commonly found in building products, and we vet against that, among other lists as well, to make sure that the guidance is clear, the science is rigorous, and that it's very simple for building project teams to find products that are hopefully better for the health of the occupant of the building, as well as for the entire supply chain. But let's talk about that for a quick moment. One thing that I always start with, and I wish I had my slide here to show you, is the idea that really everything is interconnected. And one of my favorite quotes is by John Muir, who said that when you tug on one thing in the universe, you find it connected to everything else. And I think that's really important to think about in the context of transparency and material health decisions and our day-to-day decisions as well, because that is so true. If you think about, for example, a chocolate bar, if you like chocolate, well, it may seem very simple to go and eat a chocolate bar and make your own decisions about whether you think chocolate is healthy for your body or not, whether it works into your diet or not. But are you thinking about the implications of the entire supply chain? And are you thinking about the implications of the wrapper that that chocolate bar came in? What's going to happen to that wrapper after? And that's as simple as a chocolate bar. The chocolate bar will have impacts globally on ecosystem health. It'll have impacts on social equity, whether or not there's forced labor in the collection of the cacao and processing. It will have implications in terms of the milk that may go into the milk chocolate. And the ramifications extend way beyond the simplicity of what we think about as chocolate. Now, if we think about building products, we have the same issue, but on probably a much larger scale. Because unlike chocolate, building products commonly contain a lot of toxic materials, and they contain a lot of materials that are suspected to or probable to have forced labor, for example, in their supply chain, or perhaps they have impacts on adjacent communities and fence line communities, or perhaps on the workers that install them or the workers that create them. And then, as Monica was referring to at the end of our presentation, and I'm assuming throughout our presentation, we have circularity concerns to be thinking about as well. What's going to happen to a material at the end of life? And we cannot make good end of life decisions about a product if we don't know what actually is comprising that product. If there are toxic materials in that product at the beginning of its life that are hidden, then at the end, no manager, no plant, no person can safely disassemble that product and recycle it or send it to a safe disposition if they don't know exactly what went into that product to begin with. So I think it's really important context to set. And that's what I mean by going beyond the thought of just material health. We need to really look at the implications of every product from a transparency standpoint and from a value of transparency in all five of the common material framework buckets. So again, from circularity, we have to think about end of life options. And you cannot do good end of life planning across the board globally with a mixed supply chain and a various life cycle and a various performance cycle of different products unless you can trace back to the actual original ingredients to know what you're dealing with. The second one is human health of those five buckets. So sure, human health can be determined in great part and safety of the human occupants by what went into that material, which is again the very basic importance of transparency. But what about the people along the supply chain? What about the folks in the adjacent communities? Are we thinking about them? And again, at end of life, are we thinking about the people that need to disassemble or deinstall those products from a building and what they may be exposed to by damaging, say, a surface where something may be encapsulated within that product? The next one we want to think about, of course, is ecosystem health. Ecosystems are being destroyed around the world. We're losing biodiversity at an unprecedented rate because of how we're extracting materials across the supply chain. And again, the value chain, the use chain, and the end of life. What are we doing to all of those other species? We really need to be very cognizant about that. And then we also want to think about social equity. Of course, social equity has grand implications. I've already mentioned forced labor or embodied slavery in supply chains. We need to be very thoughtful about what transparency can show us with that. And when we go through the exercise of transparency in the industry, it forces us to look deeply into our supply chains and really ask the right questions and start to hopefully eradicate the problems with social equity that exists all throughout the industry right now. And then, of course, lastly, climate is the fifth bucket for the common materials framework. And climate health is going to be vastly impacted by every decision that we make. So again, transparency can be used as a tool way beyond just the health of the individual occupant of a building, way beyond the health of the user of a product, to really look forward and backward in the supply and value chain to make sure that we're having the least amount of negative impact and hopefully the most amount of positive beneficial impact because we are choosing better products. So that's really what the message is that I wanted to get across about thinking of transparency in a whole different way. It's not just about the health of the user of the final product or the health of the occupant of a building. So switching gears, because I know we're short on time, and I think my time is actually coming to a close pretty quickly here. Um, what I want to talk about next is some of our innovation and what we're doing next at ILFI. And again, I really apologize for not having slides. Hopefully you're all still at least seeing me here. So right now we are working on the next iterations of our materials programs, which is really exciting. The Declare program and the Living Product Challenge have now been around for about 10 years, each of them. They've been through a couple iterations, but now we're doing a major overhaul. And we're doing that because right now we know that more than ever, we are seeing transgressions across all 9 planetary boundaries at an unprecedented rate. And we need to look very holistically, very quickly, and very carefully at how we pull back on those transgressions. For us at ILFI, transparency is the baseline for that. Transparency is the entry point for all of the methods that we will use to help you get to net positive, regenerative, restorative, or at a very basic level, the least impactful choices that you can make as a purchaser of materials, as a user of materials, or a manufacturer of materials. So that's number one. That's super exciting. We're actually in the process right now of recreating those new programs. We'll have more information on those coming out. The next thing that's really interesting that we do on an annual basis. So it's not all that new, but every year we put out updates to the red list. And that's going to be coming out again in April. It's our way of keeping up with the industry and hopefully helping to move the industry away from toxic materials at a rate that is sustainable for the design teams and the production teams. Beyond that, on December 4th, so almost 6 weeks from today, just after Greenbuild, we're going to have a virtual summit again. And that virtual summit is all going to be around advocacy for the built environment products. And we invite all of you to join. That's going to be a free advocacy summit. Next up, of course, we're going to be at Greenbuild. And then the exciting news for springtime is on May 6th through 8th, we're going to have our Living Future Conference in Portland, Oregon this year. The theme is accelerating regenerative buildings. And the theme of the Material Summit this year is regenerative products now. And we're going to be exploring how we get to regenerative at the scale and at the speed that we need to get to as a global community, working off of the radical collaboration that I think I heard has been bantered about a bit today already, working upon that collaborative baseline that we have set over the last couple of years, everybody going towards that same area of true north with a whole bunch of different routes to get there. Hopefully we can all work in unison to get to where we need to be right away, because we do need to get there right away. And lastly, because again, I think my time is just about up, I do want to mention that ILFI just released an industry report. It's absolutely free. You can go to our website right now and download it if you like. And it is called Regenerative Materials Now. Kind of a snapshot of where we've been, where we're going. And it's got 40 different succinct action items that anybody that's listening today can take action on. So again, I apologize for having no slides. I think I'm within the 15-minute time limit, but if not, Wendy, please let me know and I can keep going.